Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back. Welcome back to another video. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to be taking a look at the major changes coming to you very, very soon. Yes, this is because we're going to be discussing the North Node entering the sign of Taurus. Now, with the North Node entering the sign of Taurus, this automatically means that the South Node will be entering the sign of Scorpio. And so in today's video, we're going to be diving into your forecast. We're going to be looking at your astrological forecast when it comes to this big major shift. I have a lot of interesting information to share and I'm really, really excited. So with that being said, let's do this. Now, before we do dive into your sign, I just want to first talk about the North Node and the South Node. So the South Node is often associated with qualities to release, with qualities to ease up on. It really addresses how and where we are a little bit too comfortable, where we are safe. It sort of represents in this way our comfort zone, our safe zone. Therefore, in the case of the South Node in Scorpio, perhaps we are releasing, we are easing up on things like chaos, inner turmoil, destruction, defensiveness, suspicion, secrecy, manipulation, emotional intensity, and vengefulness. Or perhaps it's that we feel comfortable when indulging in such qualities. And so these qualities that I mentioned in relation to Scorpio, they are representative of our safe zone. Now, on the other hand, when it comes to the North Node, the North Node is often associated with qualities to take on, to gain. But also the North Node can show how and where we feel inspired, stimulated, and excited. How and where we seek something new, which can feel thrilling. It can feel electrifying. But at the same time, we can feel overwhelmed. We can feel awkward, uncomfortable, unsure, uncertain. And so the North Node is associated with things outside of our comfort zone, the things that don't make us feel safe necessarily. But by integrating these qualities, by moving towards these qualities, we can grow, we can expand. Yes, we are going to be inexperienced and naive. We're going to be unprepared, but there is so much to gain when we begin the journey. And so therefore, in the case of the North Node being in Taurus, perhaps we are gaining and taking on things like calmness, stability, desire, consistency, loyalty, commitment, value, practicality, realism, sensuality, harmony, and concrete results. A lot of stuff here. And there is also something thrilling and exciting about the process. And the newness and the freshness of these qualities may make us feel inspired. By moving towards these qualities, we can grow. Though furthermore, I just want to mention here is how the North Node can signify how and where we feel exhausted and burnt out and tired. This is partly why following the North Node can be beneficial for our development. By challenging what we already know, we can learn and we can stretch ourselves. We can grow and we can increase our opportunities. Though there is another big thing I want to discuss. And that is to do with how Uranus will also transit Taurus throughout the North Node in Taurus transit. And the thing about Uranus, of course, is that there is a breaking free quality to it. There are non-conforming, individual, unique, and rebellious qualities to Uranus, and Uranus is associated with detachment, exploring alternatives, and looking towards the future. So consider these applications when looking at the North Node in Taurus. I will touch on these things as I talk about each of the signs, but can I also just say quickly here, all of you natal Pluto in Scorpio people out there, okay, the Pluto in Scorpio generation, which I am a part of this generation, you're most likely going to feel this South Node in Scorpio transit, okay? You're probably going to feel it quite deeply. I just wanted to say that. Right, so let's get into these signs, which, by the way, watch for your sun, moon, and rising. Aries, sun, moon, and risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 2nd and 8th houses throughout the next year and a half. And Uranus will transit your 2nd house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil within your intimate relationships. Likewise, you are easing up on this emotional chaos in association with your psychology. It could be that you can't seem to shake certain emotional intensities, or maybe you are self-destructive, or perhaps you are releasing emotional chaos when it comes to even joint resources, joint money. Maybe you're used to others taking, or there's just no middle ground. It just feels very, very extreme between you and people that you share money and resources with. But the thing is that throughout this transit, it's going to become exhausting. You may feel tired, you may feel burnt out when it comes to these things, but at the same time, perhaps you're comfortable with this chaos, with these intense and profound emotions, which, of course, it's these things that are representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that it's also these things that may be representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma or to past relationships. Also, you might not realize how manipulative you can be, how suspicious you can be towards those who are actually deserving of your trust, towards those who have shown you time and time again that they can be trusted, but yet you continue to test their loyalty, you continue to probe, you act defensive, you have your guard up, and maybe you are heavily concerned with secrecy and with lies and with information that is being hidden from you. So much so that you forget to smell the roses. You fail to appreciate what you have, what is beautiful. You fail to really take time to see physically, practically what is happening in front of you. You miss out on calmness and stability and inner security. You don't pay attention, like I said, to those physical things going on. You just don't see other people's actions or take others at face value. Instead, you remain in a state of emotional turmoil and destruction. Then again, maybe you're used to being lied to, you're used to being betrayed, let down. Maybe you actually don't realize your own self-worth. Maybe you don't recognize what you can actually gain on the other side of betrayal, on the other side of fear and suspicion and obsession and worry. Or maybe there's a difficulty in seeing your beauty and your talents, what you have to offer. Perhaps you've been so traumatized that you cease to see all the great qualities about yourself. And so therefore, by following the North Node, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment, desire, and practicality, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on creating a state of calm within your physical and financial environment. You can focus on resources that help make you feel more at ease. I mean, I have an Aries moon and I can most certainly relate to the things that I have been mentioning. And to be fair, as an Aries, you do like to create stability. But the North Node is ushering in something new here. Something thrilling and exciting to appreciate. To turn your attention towards the physical, towards the sensual, towards the practical. To indulge in things that are pleasurable and desirable, and to take it easy, to be steady and to live a simplistic life, to relax often, or maybe you build upon your self-worth, resulting in you leaving a toxic situation, for example, or resulting in you actually accepting who you are. Accepting and appreciating your talents, your skills, your personality, etc. Yes, this transition can feel overwhelming, okay? And you may also make mistakes, but mistakes are all a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing and you are following your own unique path. You might also rebel against those who try to tell you what to do whilst you go through this process. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to your materials and your resources, etc. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Taurus, Sun, Moon and risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 1st and 7th houses throughout the next year and a half, and Uranus will transit your 1st house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil within your one-on-one relationships. It could be that you keep repeating these relationship patterns that involve intensity and extremes and control and manipulation. This could be a partner or a client or a close friend of yours that you're engaging in these things with. Or this could be destruction that you experience within a business partnership even. Maybe there's some shadiness there. There's sneakiness going on. Then again, perhaps you are releasing emotional chaos when it comes to your shadow self. Maybe you keep reliving power struggles within your relationships, but they stem from things about you that you're doing that maybe you are unconscious of, you don't see. But the thing about this is that these things may feel exhausting and tiresome, but at the same time, maybe you're comfortable with the chaos. You're comfortable with these profound and chaotic emotions that you feel. It's these things that are actually representative of your safe zone. But what you may not realize is that they are also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma or to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how controlling and domineering you can be within your relationships, how you can have this tendency of possessing a highway or my way or the highway attitude. Or maybe you don't realize how fearful you can be, how suspicious you can be of others, how standoffish you can be. Perhaps you've been scorned in a previous relationship, or maybe you've been deeply hurt in the past. Then again, it could be that you are reliving unconscious patterns that started from childhood, but you remain in the dark because you aren't aware. Perhaps there is a lack of autonomy, a lack of independence and individuality. There's a lack of self-acceptance and self-appreciation. Maybe you don't even get a chance to appreciate the things you like or that you enjoy because of how much others try to control things, or because of deep-rooted fears you possess. And so you miss out on creating a calming space. You don't pay attention to all the things that life has to offer, all the beautiful things. Instead, you remain in a state of emotional turmoil and destruction. Perhaps you are used to others having the upper hand and overpowering situations, but you don't realize what you can do, the power that you have, what you are capable of, what actions you can take. Maybe you don't realize how you can create a fresh start. You can write a new chapter in your life. Therefore, by following the North Node, you can grow when it comes to things like stability and commitment and desire and practicality. Perhaps you start to focus on embracing a new way of seeing things, a calming and grounding way of approaching situations. I mean, as a Taurus, you already embody this natural earthy presence, but the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. Perhaps you can turn your attention towards how you dress, or how you appear. And as you do, you can feel a new sense of appreciation, or maybe you become more aware of your personal pleasures and desires, possibly resulting in you having a greater sense of self. You don't feel as if you must live through somebody else, but you can actually partake in the things you like. It's as if you are reconnecting with yourself in a new way. You're reconnecting with your steady and grounded qualities. You're reconnecting with the things that make you feel content, that make you feel at ease. Now, this transition may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but mistakes are all a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing. You are following your own unique path. You might also rebel against those who try to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to your life path and your identity and so on. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Gemini, Sun, Moon and Risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 12th and 6th houses throughout the next year and a half. And Uranus will transit your 12th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to your working life. Maybe work has felt unsettling, okay, or it will start to feel a lot more unsettling come this transit. Or maybe you've been pushing yourself past your limits. You've been going to extremes. Maybe you're starting to experience burnout, or maybe there are intense emotional patterns that keep reoccurring. Perhaps these patterns are linked with a coworker who is domineering and manipulative, or to a time schedule or routine that feels like it's got some type of control over you. Then again, it could be that you are easing up on inner turmoil associated with your health and your wellness and such things. They start to become exhausting, okay? You start to feel tired when it comes to these things. But at the same time, these things may feel comfortable. You're comfortable with the chaos, with these intense, profound emotions. And it's these emotions and it's this chaos that are representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that these things are also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma or to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how much you try to control your environment, how much you must feel in control of your day. Perhaps you are pushing to dominate, to conquer, but the moment something comes up that doesn't sit well with you, you become extremely anxious and worried and fearful and suspicious. Then again, it could be that you possess deep-rooted fears associated with your health and with your well-being. Maybe you've had a health scare at some point throughout your life, and so you don't want to relive that experience. Or maybe there are some unconscious patterns that started from childhood, patterns connected with chores, routines, and keeping on top of things. Maybe you find it challenging to be in solitude for too long, to be left with your own mind for too long, to be left on your own. Or maybe you don't truly indulge or appreciate whenever you are alone. Perhaps you find it difficult to remain calm, just to chill out, to properly switch off, especially if you feel anxious and concerned about everything in your life. All these concerns towards your day-to-day, towards the mundane. And so you miss out on stillness, on peace. You don't pay attention to the things that can help you relax. You don't pay attention to the things that help you disengage from the day-to-day world. Maybe you are so used to always being on that properly resting just doesn't feel possible. And so therefore, by following the North Node, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, practicality, and desire, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on the simple things you do behind the scenes, the little things that help you escape reality. Those things that recenter you and recharge your energy. Now, as a Gemini, perhaps you already do prefer to indulge when you are out of the public eye, but the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. And so perhaps you create a new practical plan which you execute in your alone time. Or maybe you reconnect with the little things that you love and enjoy, with the things that bring you pleasure. Or perhaps you try out a spiritual practice that is strongly linked to grounding yourself. Or maybe you pray more, you give thanks more, you practice more gratitude, which can have a strong impact on your psyche. Now, this transition, it may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but of course, mistakes are all a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing, you're following your own unique path. Now, you might also rebel against those who try to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to your time in solitude and when it comes to your spiritual connections, etc. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can impact your future. Cancer, Sun, Moon and Risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 11th and 5th houses throughout the next year and a half. And Uranus will transit your 11th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil in association with your romantic relationships and love life. Likewise, you are easing up on emotional chaos in relation to your self-expression and confidence. So if you were ever put down, for example, whilst you were a child, if you were ever bullied whilst you were a child, you are releasing so much emotion connected with these things. Or if you ever felt slighted or betrayed by lovers in the past, again, you are releasing much emotion. Then again, maybe you are struggling to overcome confidence-related issues that are connected with something psychological and very deep. Or maybe you are terrified of getting hurt again. You're terrified even of putting yourself out there because of how much you've been hurt in the past. Then again, maybe there is something triggering about children or about your inner child and when it comes to play and fun. It could be that these emotional intensities, they start to feel exhausting, okay? You start to feel tired and burnt out, but at the same time, perhaps you're comfortable with the chaos. You're comfortable with these intense emotions you feel, and of course it's these very things that are representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that they are also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma or to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how much you need to control things within your love life out of fear, or how much you control your own emotions so that things turn in your favor within your romantic relationships. Perhaps you hide how you truly feel from your romantic partners, or perhaps you possess deep-rooted fears in association with children. Maybe you worry to death about your children, or maybe you worry about the possibility of having children. It feels like a very daunting experience. Then again, it could be that you are suspicious of others when having fun. as if there is a part of you that watches other people for their reactions and for their judgments and their opinions. Like I said, such things could be linked to your childhood, to bullying, or perhaps there is a part of you that is fearful of being exposed by others, being humiliated by others. It could be that you were made fun of for your creations or for your hobbies growing up. And these things, they have impact you psychologically. Maybe these things keep you from connecting, from including yourself. They can get in the way of you also following your hopes and your dreams. Maybe you don't appreciate all the wonderful and exciting things that life has to offer. Or maybe you are afraid that everything you build will come crashing down. Perhaps also you miss out on joining social groups that you could actually really enjoy. And so therefore, you don't pay attention to group involvements. Instead, you shield yourself from others. You prefer to play it safe instead of making any future plans. And so therefore, by following the North Node in Taurus, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment, desire, and practicality, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on your future visions, dreams, and your hopes. So creating a practical plan and being slow throughout the process, being gradual, being steady, or deciding to put your focus on a calming and desirable future. The type of future that feels secure. It's not so emotionally draining. It's not so emotionally charged. A future that is filled with sensuality and pleasure. Or maybe you can develop friendships that are solid and valuable. Friendships where you feel grounded. Now, as a Cancer, you prefer to develop friendships like this, but the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. Perhaps you join a different social circle or social group, or maybe you take part in a new club related with art or cooking or nature, or you join groups that feel stable and steady, or groups where people are reliable, where they are consistent. Or maybe you join groups where you and other members, you share the same values. Now, this transition may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but mistakes are part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You might also rebel against those who try to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to groups, when it comes to social movements, etc. And also when it comes to your hopes and wishes for the future, okay? And the thing is that these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Leo, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 10th and 4th houses throughout the next year and a half. And Uranus will transit your 10th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to your family life and your living situation. You are releasing a lot of emotional intensities in connection with your emotional security, in association with these family ties that you have. Now, it could be that there are some toxic emotional cycles that you just keep getting caught up in, that keep happening within your family. Or maybe it's that you and your family, you've been going through painful emotions lately. Then again, perhaps these emotional intensities, they are connected with your past, with past events from childhood that still seem to haunt you till this very day. Or maybe you keep reliving manipulative patterns with family members, but it's getting exhausting now, okay? Come the time the North Node does transition into Taurus, things will start to feel exhausting. You may feel tired and burnt out when it comes to all of this family drama and all this family chaos. But at the same time, these feelings may be comfortable, okay? These intense and profound emotions, they are representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize, or you may actually realize after what I've just discussed, is that these feelings are also connected with your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma and to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how much control certain family members have over you, the type of hold they have, perhaps unintentionally and unconsciously, perhaps also in an extremely positive way or an extremely negative way. But the thing is that there is something about these family ties that can be emotionally triggering, for better or for worse. Maybe you return to your childhood home to settle some unfinished business, or maybe you return to home and all of these emotions, these memories, they're flooding back, they come flooding back. Or maybe you've went through profound emotional transitions with your family as a unit. And so you feel connected to them in a very, very deep way. Then again, it could be that you possess inner fears in relation to family and home and to your living situation. Maybe you're haunted by past events, or maybe you are fearful of what the future holds, fearful of everything being destroyed, of everything going wrong. Then again, it could be that you possess these self-destructive patterns, but it's such patterns that hinder you from your earning potential within your professional life. Maybe you don't stop to see what you have built over the years, what you've worked for, what you've achieved. It's challenging to appreciate your successes. Or maybe these deeply psychological and emotional matters, they keep you from making sensible career moves, or they impact your long-term goals. Or perhaps you struggle to see the value that you bring to the public, or the value that you bring to your professional role. It's challenging to appreciate your wins because of how unsettled you feel on an emotional level. Or maybe you miss out on accomplishments that showcase your talents and your skills. Instead, you fixate on how you're feeling. You fixate on all the things that could go wrong. Therefore, by following the North Node, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, practicality, and desire, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on your career and your reputation, or you can focus on your long-term goals. This could be a situation where you seek some level of security and stability from within your public position. And so you make steady and gradual career moves. You think things through. And you base your career moves on practicality and being sensible, being reasonable. Likewise, perhaps feeling grounded and centered is an important part of this. It's quite important during this time. Or maybe you decide to seek a public position based on simplicity. Now, as a Leo, you prefer a profession that consists of dependability and gaining physical results, okay? But the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. And so perhaps you create a product, or you sell a new product, or maybe you get into designing or beauty or something artistic, you get into fashion, or perhaps you seek companies and organizations who align with your values a lot better. Now, this transition may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but mistakes are all a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing and following your unique path. You might also rebel against anybody who tries to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to your reputation, when it comes to your public position, etc. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Virgo, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 9th and 3rd houses, and Uranus will transit your 9th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to your thoughts, when it comes to your daily interactions, when it comes to communication. You're also releasing emotional chaos in association with your immediate environment and early schooling. So if you were bullied in the past, for example, you are releasing so much emotion connected with such things. Maybe you keep reliving dangerous events within your neighborhood or with peers of yours or with classmates that you have. Or maybe you have all of these deep and profound emotions connected with your siblings, or even connected again with those daily interactions. There's something quite triggering, emotionally triggering, about how you communicate, about how you interact with others. And also when it comes to how you take in new information. But it's these things that I'm talking about that will become exhausting. You're going to start to feel burnt out. You're going to start to feel tired. But at the same time, it's also these things that may feel comfortable. You're sort of comfortable with the chaos. You're comfortable with these intense emotions. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that it's also these things that are representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma and to past relationships. Likewise, you may not realize how paranoid and how suspicious you can be towards others. I'm really talking to myself here. How much you read into things, how much you probe others for answers, how much you distrust people, and so you don't share information about yourself that could possibly be used against you later. Maybe you hide certain details within conversations because you're trying to control how other people see you, how they view you, or maybe you try to control how other people think of you. Or perhaps it's that you've been betrayed in the past by people who have used your privacy, your private information and details against you. Others have tried to manipulate you also through communication, or maybe it's that others have tried to expose you in the past, and so you're very, very deliberate about the words you say. Maybe certain friends from childhood, they have done this, or maybe you've been hurt by your peers in school. They used to tease you or say hateful, cruel words to you. Or maybe it's this cruelty that has come from your siblings towards you. Regardless of where they have came from, it's these words that follow you psychologically. Maybe these things I mentioned, they keep you from growing and from expanding your horizons. They keep you from learning more or from experiencing joy and happiness. Maybe you don't appreciate your higher meaning because you're so wrapped up in fear. Or maybe you miss out on all of the beauty that teaching and higher learning has to offer because you feel overpowered by your thoughts, by how negative your thoughts can be because of the dark places that your mind can put you into. And so you don't pay attention to new experiences and opportunities. Instead, you remain in a state of emotional turmoil and destruction. Perhaps you don't realize that it's your mind getting in the way of your growth. And so, therefore, by following the North Node in Taurus, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment, desire, and practicality, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on branching out, exploring, getting out into nature more even, going on nature-related trips. Maybe you can take a relaxing trip somewhere, or a trip where it's full of pleasure and sensuality and desire. You could do something that is highly sensual with your partner if you have one, or you can develop a belief system based on feeling grounded and feeling at ease. Now, as a Virgo, perhaps you prefer to possess a belief system where it is focused more on nature and simplicity and feeling grounded. But the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. And so, perhaps you practice a new teaching or a new philosophy, or you start to explore something in connection with spirituality, or maybe you reconnect with the earth, or maybe you reconnect with your morals or with your bigger picture values, or maybe it's that you look into publishing. So this could be the likes of publishing your own novel or publishing something new online. But whatever the case may be for you, this transition may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but mistakes are all a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing and you're following your own unique path. You might also rebel against those who try to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to your beliefs, when it comes to things like teaching, publishing, broadcasting, traveling, and so on. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, well, they can also impact your future. Libra, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 8th and 2nd houses throughout the next year and a half, and Uranus will transit your 8th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to your self-worth. So looking at how you value yourself. Maybe you are releasing emotional chaos in association with self-destructive behaviors or in association with power struggles in relation to possessions and materials. Maybe you can be overly concerned when it comes to money, etc., because you fear losing everything you own. Or maybe you have faced money struggles in the past. It could be that you have went through physical, financial transformations, physical security transformations. And so now you feel as if you are reliving these moments. Perhaps you feel fearful, you're paranoid, you're stressing yourself out. Maybe you feel yourself obsessing over your livelihood and your security. But these things, they're going to feel exhausting. You may start to feel tired and burnt out, but at the same time, perhaps you're comfortable with the chaos. You're comfortable with these intense and profound emotions that you feel, and it's these very emotions and it's this chaos that are representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that they are also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma or to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how controlling and demanding you can be over your physical environment, how you try to make sure that everything remains in its place, or if it's not, then you might become very angered and upset, or of how deeply you feel when your self-worth is threatened. You might be super protective out of fear of getting hurt. Maybe you have been hurt in the past, particularly by people who have used you financially, or they've used you in a material way, or maybe they have used materials against you. Maybe you keep your personal possessions very close to you because in the past people have stolen from you, they've threatened your security, your stability. Then again, it could be that your self-worth or your actual body, your physical body, has been violated in some way in the past. And so you are very suspicious of other people. It could be that these past events, they have impacted you psychologically. Or perhaps you've been transforming greatly over the years when it comes to these things. But the thing is that it's such things that can block you from transforming within your close and intimate relationships. Perhaps fear keeps you from sensuality and intimacy and emotional connection. Or maybe you have deep-rooted fears connected with your body or with your beauty. Maybe you hide your body or your beauty because you feel ashamed, or maybe you don't appreciate your beauty. Perhaps you find it difficult to see yourself as a sensual person or as a sexual person. Perhaps you miss out when it comes to sharing with somebody that you trust and that you love dearly. Or maybe you don't pay attention to the sexual experiences that you can enjoy with another. Instead, you remain caught up in this emotional turmoil, frightened of letting others in. And so therefore, by following the North Node in Taurus, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment and desire and practicality, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on vulnerability and letting down your defenses. This may involve opening up, provided that you're in a secure and safe environment to do so. And if you're not, perhaps it's a good idea to focus on getting to that place if you can. To get to a place where you feel internally secure and grounded, a place where your emotions are more regulated, a place where you feel more at ease. Now, as a Libra, you seek to feel inner harmony, internal harmony, but the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. So it could be that you reach out to people who provide you with practical ways of helping you, or maybe you can gain new tangible tools as a way to support you through anything stressful, anything chaotic, or maybe you reconnect with your sexuality. Or maybe you reconnect when it comes to the bedroom, when it comes to pleasures and desires, or when it comes to intimacy. Now, this transition may feel overwhelming. You may also make mistakes, but mistakes are all a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing, you're following your unique path, and you might also rebel against people who tell you what to do. Likewise, you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to vulnerability and sexuality and intimacy. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Scorpio, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 7th and 1st houses throughout the next year and a half. And Uranus will transit your 7th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to your outlook on life. When it comes to how you approach new situations and how you enter into new life chapters. It could also be that you are easing up on emotional intensities in relation with your identity. Maybe you can be weary or suspicious of certain situations. Or maybe you are used to living a chaotic life because people within your life, they have been all chaos. You've been in these threatening life situations. You have been in dangerous situations. Perhaps you have also felt overpowered and dominated in some way, or maybe you've been surrounded by power struggles throughout your life. But the thing about this is that these things will start to feel exhausting and you may feel tired and burnt out. But at the same time, it's also these things that may feel comfortable. These internal struggles, these profound, intense emotions you feel, they are representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that they are also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma or to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how standoffish you can be, how protective you can be. Perhaps you have had to be and you also need to be, but at the same time, you can be super closed and guarded and secretive and suspicious. Others knowing private information about you might not sit well with you. Then again, maybe certain people, they need to walk on eggshells when they are around you because they don't know when you are going to be set off. You can go from 0 to 100 sometimes. You can jump to conclusions very quickly. You can be quick-tempered. Now, you can be very intuitive as well, but there are times when you can lash out. Maybe your security being threatened, it sets you off, or the thought of somebody leaving you it also sets you off, or maybe jealousy can get the better of you sometimes, though you may not show this. Essentially, you might possess this suspicious outlook, but it's these things that can get in the way of you appreciating fruitful and rewarding relationships. They can block you from creating a secure partnership with someone else. Or you might miss out on all the simple things to enjoy with another. Then again, maybe you don't pay attention to loyalty or to commitment being presented to you within your relationships. Instead, you remain on the defense. You feel like you must always protect yourself from getting hurt. Therefore, by following the North Node, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment, desire, and practicality, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on building a calming and dependable relationship with another. You can turn your attention towards the things you wish to build on with another, and doing so in a slow and gradual manner. Or maybe you can turn your attention towards appreciation and desire and pleasure within your relationships. Or perhaps you can focus on feelings of contentment, whether or not you are in a relationship. Now, as a Scorpio, you seek a relationship that is practical, a relationship that makes sense and is sensual. But the North Node here is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. So it could be that you reconnect with your partner in a new way. You take time to explore the things that you enjoy together, and the things that bring you both pleasure. And if it is, again, as I said, that you are not in a relationship, well, perhaps it's that you reconnect with your shadow side, with the parts of you that are mostly unconscious. You know, these parts that are sensual and are creative and harmonious and calm and patient. Or perhaps it's that you integrate more beauty and art into your life. Now, this transition may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but mistakes, they are a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing, you're following your own unique path. You might also rebel against people who try to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to one-on-one relationships and when it comes to your shadow side. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Sagittarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 6th and 12th houses throughout the next year and a half. And Uranus will also transit your 6th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to the ways you feel when you're alone. When it comes to how you spend time in seclusion. You might have heavy, dark thoughts when alone, or you might struggle to feel at peace when you're alone. It could be that you obsess about things, you worry massively about things. Then again, maybe you are easing up on emotional intensities that you feel when you are alone. Perhaps there is just so much going on beneath the surface, which could result in sleepless nights. Or maybe there are unconscious blockages present, connected with power struggles and self-destruction here. But the thing about this is that these things will start to become tiresome, you'll become burnt out, but at the same time, perhaps these things, they feel comfortable. The chaos, the profound and intense emotions, these things are all representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that they are also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma and to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how much these things impact your day-to-day life, how these things have an unconscious hold on you. It could be that you are distrusting, that you're suspicious of others. This right here may not be visible to others, but you may feel this way underneath, especially when you're alone, when you're left alone with your thoughts and your emotions. Or it could be that you have so much fear surrounding alcohol or drugs, etc. You don't like the thought of not being in control of yourself, or maybe alcohol, etc. has been used as a way to manipulate you or control you in the past, or maybe you even have some self-destructive tendencies connected with drugs and alcohol and so on. Or maybe it's that when you are under the influence, you can be pretty destructive. Then again, maybe past events, they replay in your mind. You get flashbacks, perhaps you are terrified of history repeating itself. Maybe you get really bad nightmares. Could be that you have deep-rooted fears due to somebody that you love, maybe being in prison or being in hospital. But the thing is that these inner demons of yours, they can impact your health. They can impact your work and your daily routines. They can impact your schedules. These heavy emotions and these psychological blockages, they can get in the way of you managing your time effectively. They can get in the way of you organizing. They can impact your stress levels. You might miss out on enjoying the simple pleasures that daily life has to offer, or maybe you don't pay attention to how food can impact your body. Instead, you are flooded with all these fears and these extreme emotions, which others may not even know anything about. Therefore, by following the North Node, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment, desire, and practicality, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on developing a steady and grounding daily routine. Or you can make time for sensual pleasures. You can make time to relax during certain times of the day, or perhaps you can turn your attention towards the little things that you appreciate about your day. Or you can turn your attention towards creating a simple way of executing your daily tasks. Now, as a Sagittarius, you do typically enjoy your routines and you can be pretty consistent as a worker too, but the North Node here is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. So it could be that you deliberately seek to enjoy your food, or maybe you set time aside to work out, preferably a workout that helps ground you, center you. Or maybe you address the job that you have, so looking at how secure you are there, the type of money you're making, the values of the company, the reliability of your role, etc. Or maybe you start to value your health in a different way. This transition, of course, may feel overwhelming and you may make mistakes, but of course mistakes are all a part of the learning process, which I'm sure you do know, being a Sagittarius. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing. You are following your own path. You might also rebel against anybody who tries to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to your health and when it comes to your working life and schedules. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can impact your future. Capricorn, Sun, Moon, and risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 5th and 11th houses within the next year and a half. And Uranus will transit your 5th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to your social circles and friendships. Maybe you've been in friendships where people have betrayed you, where they've backstabbed you, or maybe you've been bullied by members of the group. Then again, maybe you feel strongly about what the group does. There may also be something triggering about groups. Also, you're easing up on emotional turmoil that you feel towards organizations and companies. Perhaps there are certain organizations that are manipulative, that are power hungry, but you see right through them. Or maybe you feel like certain companies, they are being controlling. Or perhaps you feel like you must be the most powerful one within the groups that you are a part of. Or it could be that you're super secretive and private within these groups. But the thing is that you're going to start to feel tired and perhaps burnt out when it comes to such things. But at the same time, it could be that these things, they feel comfortable. The chaos, the profound emotions, they feel comfortable and they are representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not be aware of, or what you may not realize, is that they are also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma or to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how fearful, how suspicious you can be towards others. Like I said, it could be that you have been hurt, you've been bullied, or perhaps backstabbed by others. And so due to these reasons, maybe you are distrusting towards other people, or maybe you have seen the power plays, the power struggles that take place within groups, the sneakiness, the shadiness, how people try to get others to do what they want, how manipulative people can be within groups, the things they're hiding. Then again, maybe you have observed how destructive people can be on a wider scale. So looking at your community, for example, maybe you've seen the poverty, the corruption, the disasters, the danger, the crime. It could be that such experiences, they have made you extremely suspicious, or maybe it's that you possess these deep-rooted fears connected with your future direction, or even with the future direction of society as a whole. You don't see the light at the end of the tunnel, basically, or maybe you find it challenging to see the good in humanity. However, it's these intense emotions you feel that can impact things like enjoyment, pleasure, play, love, and doing things just for fun. Maybe these fears, they get in the way of you appreciating the spare time that you have, or it could be that you find it difficult to enjoy anything. Or perhaps they keep you from indulging in romantic relationships. Or maybe you miss out on dating. You miss out on love altogether. Or you miss out on hobbies that make you feel happy. Or it could be that certain pleasures you like, they just don't feel so joyful. Instead, you are heavily concerned with the wrongs of the world, with the evils of the world, with the chaos going on in the world. Therefore, by following the North Node in Taurus, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment, desire, and practicality. Perhaps you can start to focus on the things that bring you joy and happiness, but actually being present and being grounded whilst you do so. Or maybe you can make time for sensuality within your romantic relationships. And if you're not in a relationship, make time for personal exploration. Also, perhaps you can have some much needed time off work, if you can, of course. So taking a short break or having a weekend to yourself, or maybe you can practice a hobby that you enjoy. It's just for fun, it's just for pleasure. Or you can look into a hobby that really does involve desire. Or maybe it's that you turn your attention towards a basic form of entertainment, something simple, And as a Capricorn, you do usually enjoy your hobbies and your leisure time, but the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. So it could be that your hobby involves fashion, beauty, gardening, art, food, or maybe you simplify things, you get back to basics, or maybe you take yourself out for dinner, or you arrange a really flirty date with your partner. Or it could be that you start dating, or it could be that you dress up in your spare time, or you even dress up for your romantic partner. You really tap into your sensual side just for the fun of it. Or maybe you recreate yourself, or you seek a more sensual way of expressing yourself. Perhaps you reconnect with your confidence and with your vitality. Now, this transition may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but mistakes are a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You are doing your own thing and you are following your unique path. You might also rebel against those who try to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to the likes of fun and play and pleasure and romance. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Aquarius, Sun, Moon, and Risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 4th and 10th houses throughout the next year and a half. And Uranus will transit your 4th house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to your reputation, when it comes to social status, also when it comes to your professional life. Maybe you have been experiencing some complex and heavy emotions when it comes to these things. Or maybe you feel fearful towards the future, towards what the future holds. Or perhaps you self-sabotage or you self-destruct. Maybe you possess all these internal struggles towards your profession. Or you get into these power struggles even sometimes with members of authority. Maybe you lash out in a rage sometimes, or maybe things just become too much. But these things, they're going to become exhausting and you may feel tired and burnt out. But at the same time, perhaps the chaos here feels comfortable. These internal emotions, these intense, complex emotions you feel, they are representative of your safe zone. They're things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that they are also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma and to past relationships. Likewise, you may not realize how these complex emotions, they can relate to fear and control. As if you must control your future, control your destiny. Because if not, everything will come crashing down around you. Maybe that frightens you. The thought of losing everything that you've built, everything that you've worked for. Or perhaps it's that you're over the lies and the secrets and the manipulation from leaders and managers, or you feel heavily about said things. Maybe you get angry at your parents even for trying to control your path, or maybe you are suspicious of the public, and so you plan things out very, very strategically. Maybe you know all too well how cunning certain members of the public can be. Maybe these feelings, they stem from a member of authority who you witnessed growing up, who impacted you growing up. However, it's also such complex feelings and emotions that can impact your living situation and your family life. They can impact how safe and secure you feel from within as well. Perhaps it's that you don't actually feel all that safe and secure from within because you're constantly worrying about being exposed or being controlled or being dominated. You're worrying about things just turning to chaos once again. Or maybe you miss out on the little things at home, the enjoyable moments, because you are obsessing over status and career, etc. You don't feel safe, and so you work yourself to death so that eventually one day you will. Therefore, by following the North Node, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment, desire, and practicality, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on creating a stable and steady living situation. So to focus on taking those practical steps to get there, but to not be so heavily caught up in everything. So to also take it easy, okay, from time to time, to appreciate the little moments with family and loved ones, to look at family connection and to look at feelings of contentment. Then again, maybe it's about looking towards a more simple and calming life with loved ones, rather than continuously fixating on your reputation and your profession. Or perhaps you are turning your attention towards relaxation and indulging. Or it could be that you really take time to look at your home comforts. Now, as an Aquarius, you do typically enjoy your home comforts, which I can most definitely relate to this. You find emotional security in these things. But the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. So it could be that you look into your home life values, or maybe you start to reconnect with the role that you play, or maybe it's that you look into the very values of what it means to be a family, what family means to you. Or maybe you seek greater feelings of ease and harmony, a greater sense of calm within the home or amongst your family. Or perhaps it's that you focus on the potentialities of buying a home, but not doing this in a way that is extravagant, okay? Just seeking a home that's more simple, more basic. Now, this transition may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but mistakes are all a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You're doing your own thing, you're following your own unique path. You might also rebel against those who try to tell you what to do. And yeah, as an Aquarius, for you Aquarius folks watching, I don't need to tell you twice. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to emotional security and home and family and so on. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Pisces, Sun, Moon, and risings. So the North Node and South Node will transit your 3rd and 9th houses throughout the next year and a half. And Uranus will transit your 3rd house. Therefore, you are easing up on chaos and inner turmoil when it comes to your deeply held beliefs, when it comes to your world view. Also, when it comes to furthering your education, when it comes to more training that you do. Maybe you feel heavily about the world, for example, about the political landscape, about the economy, about humanity at large, or you have all of these mixed feelings and emotions that are very, very complex towards such things. Or maybe you become quite angry and annoyed at the world. You see it in all of its chaos, all of its destruction, or maybe you've been experiencing power struggles with teachers, with mentors, with educators, with preachers. Maybe you don't agree with their message, or you think their broadcasting of their truth is very, very manipulative. Then again, it could be that you are going through a very harsh legal battle during this time. And so you're experiencing power struggles there. Now, the thing about this is that all of this stuff is going to feel exhausting. You're going to feel burnt out and tired, but at the same time, maybe these things feel comfortable, living in the chaos, living with these profound emotions. These things are representative of your safe zone. They are things that feel familiar. But what you may not realize is that they're also representative of your past conditioning. They may be connected to trauma and to past relationships. Likewise, you might not realize how these emotional intensities, how they can pull you under, how they can make you see the world at large as so negative and dark. Maybe relationships within your life, they have been ruined due to differences in opinion, differences when it comes to people's beliefs. Or maybe you've seen the destruction that religious beliefs, for example, can have on other people's lives. Maybe you've been controlled or manipulated in some way by religious figures or by professors, by mentors who cannot be trusted. Or maybe you possess so much distrust towards global messages, towards the news, towards the media. But the thing about this is that these things that you're feeling, they may also have a large impact on your mindset and your mental health. They can impact the thoughts that you have on a daily basis. They can impact the ways in which you interact with other people, perhaps your inner tensions, and they can impact the very conversations that you have with other people, which can result in you feeling isolated and misunderstood. Maybe people think that you're crazy or that you're nuts, but actually you do have a valid point to make. Or maybe you miss out on just enjoyable small talk, enjoyable interactions. Or perhaps you miss out on pleasurable conversations that are steady and down to earth. Or maybe you find it challenging to sit back and relax during a conversation because there is this part of you that must debate your point. Therefore, by following the North Node in Taurus, you can grow when it comes to stability, sensuality, commitment, desire, practicality, etc. Perhaps you can start to focus on the steadiness of your mind, of your speech. Perhaps you can start to listen more, or you can take things in a more calming way. Or maybe you can remove yourself from conversations that just are not enjoyable at times. Or maybe you can remove yourself from further education, further studies that no longer serve a practical purpose. Or maybe you can practice more patience when interacting with others. Then again, maybe it's about relaxing your mind or having simple everyday interactions. Now, as a Pisces, you do usually like to have casual chats with others, but the North Node is ushering in something new, something thrilling and exciting to try. So it could be that you seek out pleasant conversations where you talk about what you like, what you enjoy, what you desire, or maybe you feel more comfortable within your conversations, or you ease into things a lot better. So instead of focusing so much on who is right and who is wrong, you just sort of relax, you sit back. Take it easy. Don't get caught up in the drama and the chaos. Or maybe you become more comfortable with the quiet, okay? Now, this transition, it may feel overwhelming and you may also make mistakes, but of course, mistakes are all a part of the learning process. Likewise, there is something individual and non-conforming about this process. You're doing your own thing, you're following your unique path. You might also rebel against others who try to tell you what to do. Likewise, perhaps you are open to exploring alternatives when it comes to communication and learning and when it comes to your mind. And these outside of your comfort zone steps, they can also impact your future. Okay then, Cosmic Warriors, so that concludes my video about these major changes, these big changes coming to you as the North Node moves into Taurus and the South Node moves into Scorpio. I hope that this transit is rewarding for you and I hope that you learn a lot. Now, if you do happen to have any thoughts and opinions on today's video, then please let us know in the comment section down below. But with all that being said, thank you so much for watching. Thank you for subscribing. And if you like this video, then make sure that you do give it a like. And I will be back. I will be back with another video very, very soon. Bye.